Hello students, I am Satnam Singh and welcome once again on my YouTube channel Economics by Satnam Sir. Dear students, in this video we are going to discuss the three important topic of Indian economy. First is debate over subsidies to agriculture. Second, industrial policy resolution 1956 and third, trade policy of the government between the time period of 1950 to 1990. Dear students, but before we start this video, I will recommend to all of you to please subscribe my YouTube channel Economics by Satnam Sir for very more upcoming video tutorials. So let's get start. Our first topic is debate over subsidies to agriculture. Subsidy in context of agriculture means that farmer get inputs at a price lower than the market price. During the initial phase of Green Revolution, new technology was looked upon as being risky by the farmers. So, it was necessary for the government to grant subsidy to provide an incentive for adoption of new high yielding variety of technology. However, with the passage of time, there has been debate over the huge amount of subsidies granted by the government. So, let's discuss the important point in favor and against of the subsidies. So, first, economists in favor of subsidies in the following point. The government should continue the agriculture subsidies as farming in India continues to be a risky business. And second, majority of the farmers are very poor and they will not be able to afford the required input without the subsidies. And third, eliminating subsidies will increase the income inequalities between rich and poor farmers and will violate the ultimate goal of the equity. In brief, subsidies in India are necessary for the poor and small farmers to enable them to make use of modern agriculture techniques. Necessary steps should be taken to ensure that only the poor farmers enjoy the benefit of subsidies and not the fertilizer industry and big farmers. But some economists are against the issue of the subsidies. According to some economists, subsidies were granted by the government to provide an incentive for adoption of high yielding variety of technology. So, after the wide acceptance of technology, subsidies should be phased out as their purpose has been served. And subsidy do not benefit the poor and small farmers as benefit of the substantial amount of subsidy go to the fertilizer industry and prosperous farmer. Therefore, there is no case of continuing with subsidy as it does not benefit the target group and it is a huge burden on the government's finance. So our next topic is industrial development of a country. The developing countries like India can progress only if they have a good industrial sector. Industry provides employment which is more stable than the employment in agriculture. Industrialization promotes modernization and overall prosperity. Due to this reason, the Indian planners stressed a lot on the industrial development. At the time of independence, the variety of industries were very limited. The cotton, textile, and jute industries were mostly developed in India. There were only two well managed iron and steel firms, one in Jamshedpur and the another is Kolkata. So, there was a strong need to expand the industrial base with the variety of industry. But at the time of independence, the big question facing the policymaker was to decide the role of the government and the role of the private sector in industrial development. There was a need for the leading role of public sector due to the following reason. First, state had to invest in industries due to lack of capital with the private sector. Private entrepreneurs did not have the capital to undertake investment in industrial ventures required for the development of the economy. At the time of independence, Tata and Birla only the well-known private entrepreneurs. As a result, government had to make industrial investment through public sector undertakings. And second, Small size of domestic market demotivated private sector to invest in industries. It means the Indian market was not big enough to encourage private industries to undertake major projects even if they had capital to do so. Due to limited size of market, there was low level of demand for the industrial goods. And the third most objective for industrial development at that time is objective of social welfare. The objective of equity and social welfare of the government could be achieved only through direct participation of the state in the process of industrialization. As a result, the state had complete control over those industries that were vital for the economy. The policies of the private sector had to be complementary to those of the public sector, with public sector leading the way. So in this point of view, Government of India at that time started the policy of Industrial Policy Resolution 1956. According to Policy Resolution 1956, the industries was classified into three categories: Schedule A, Schedule B, and Schedule C. And second point is introduction of industrial licensing, and third, development of small scale industries. Here we discuss the one by one. The first point we will discuss here is classification of industries. According to Industrial Policy Resolution 1956, the industries were classified into three categories: Schedule A, Schedule B, and Schedule C. Schedule A, this first category comprised industries which would be reserved for the state only. In this schedule, 17 industries were included, like arms and ammunitions, atomic energy, heavy and core industries, aircrafts, oil, railways, shipping, etc. In Schedule B, 12 industries were placed, which would be progressively state owned. The state would take and the initiative of setting of industry, and private sector will supplement efforts of the state. This schedule includes industries like aluminium, other mining industry, machine tool, and fertilizer, etc. In Schedule C, this schedule consisted of the remaining industries which were to be in the private sector. The state could facilitate and encourage the development of all these industries. These industries were controlled by the state through a system of licensing enforced under Industries Development and Regulation Act 1951. So, industrial licensing is the second most important point of Industrial Policy Resolution 1956. And industrial licensing means is a written permission from the government to an industrial unit to manufacture goods. The Industries Act 1951 empowered the government to issue license for setting of a new industry, expansion of existing ones, and diversification of the product. According to industrial licensing, the private sector was kept under the state control through a system of license. No new industries was allowed unless a license is obtained from the government. It was easier to obtain the license if the industrial unit was established in an economically backward areas. In addition, such units were given certain concessions such as tax benefits and electricity at a lower tariff. The purpose of this policy was to promote regional equality. License was needed even if the existing industry want to expand output or diversifying the production. So license is the important topic at that time, important measures to development of industries at that time. And third important point of the Industrial Policy Resolution 1956 is development of small scale industries. In 1955, the Village and Small Scale Industries Commission, means Karve Committee, recognized the possibility of using small scale industries to promote rural development. A small scale industry is defined with reference to the maximum investment allowed on the asset of a unit. This limit was changed from 5 lakh rupees to in 1950 and to present at limit of rupees 5 crore. About small scale industry, there is a lot of importance of these industries. The first is it's a very important and crucial for the employment generation. Small scale industries were allowed is more labor intensive, that is they use more labor than the large scale industries, and therefore they generate more employment opportunities. After agriculture, small scale industries provide employment to the largest number of people in India. And second, need the production of big firm. Small scale industries cannot compete with the big firm industries. They can flourish only when they are protected from the large scale industry. So various steps were taken by the government to their growth. First is reservation of products. Government reserved the production of a number of products for the small scale industry. The criteria for reserving the products dependent upon the ability of these units to manufacture the goods. And second is various concession. Small scale industries were also given concessions such as lower excise duty and banks loan at lower rate of interest. We'll discuss here some MCQ questions. First is subsidy is a financial help given by the government sector. And question second, the principal element of industrial policy resolution is all of these. Schedule B, industries were confined to both A and B. And question number 4, limit of investment for the export oriented production unit is 5 crore. Now we discuss here the trade policy. At the time of independence, in order to be the self-reliant in vital sectors, India has followed the strategy of replacing many imports by domestically production. In the first 7 plan, trade was characterized by the inward-looking trade strategy. Technically, this strategy is called import substitution trade policy. Import substitution refers to the policy of replacement or substitution of imports by domestic production. For example, instead of importing vehicles made in the foreign country, domestic industries would be encouraged to produce them in the country itself. The basic aim of this policy was to protect domestic industry from foreign competitions. The policy of import substitution can serve two definite objectives. First, saving of precious foreign exchange reserves and achieving self-reliance. Government made use of two ways to protect goods produced in India from imports. First is tariff. Tariff refers to taxes levied on imported goods. The basic aim of imposing heavy duty on imported goods was to make them more expensive and discourage their use. And quotas. Quotas refers to the fixing the maximum limit of the imports of the commodity by the domestic producers. So the tariff or imported goods and fixation of quotas help in restricting the level of imports. As a result, the domestic firm could expand without fear of competition from the foreign market. Tariff and quotas is the important instrument to protect domestic industry in foreign competitions. So, the policy is known as import substitution trade policies at that time. Dear students, in the next video, we will discuss the 3 important points: positive effects of industrial and trade policy, limitation of industrial and trade policy, and conclusion. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you.